This is America's Webradio.com, the best in chat radio designed just for you.
Good morning, and welcome to the Business Hour. I'm Ron Comacho, your host. And today, the business at hand is the business of marketing and communications, which those of us in the field refer to as marketing communications. And in a very, very highly competitive world of marketing with highly cluttered marketplaces, with off-point messages, with poor quality design, poor quality production, there are actually agencies who are committed to quality messages, quality production, quality strategy for reaching the right marketplace. And one such agency is DCD, Complete Marketing Solutions. And so I'm very pleased to have as my guest the founder and the creative force behind DCD, David Caron. David, welcome to the Business Hour.
Hello, Ron.
Now, David, let's start off by talking about the challenge to all marketing and marketing communications firms. What do you see as some of the biggest challenges that we face when we're trying to help clients? And by the way, there are listeners out there who know that I'm a marketer and a creative director, so I am faced with some of the same problems, and I'll be making this reference to, like, what is our challenge, how do we approach this or that? And so tell us what you see as some of the major challenges that marketers, particularly today, with a whole digital arsenal of technologies at our fingertips. What are some of our challenges?
Well, I think that some of the really big challenges that marketers are facing is making sure that everything all works together. There's so many different pieces of marketing, whether it's your social media strategy, your video content, your different outbound marketing strategies, all these different pieces, and getting them to work together seamlessly so that your investment or a business's investment into their marketing actually works, actually helps them. There's a lot of really awesome agencies out there, several of them here in Atlanta, and I think a huge challenge that they face is being positioned where they need to be, where people can find them. It's not just about we're this great agency, come and hire us to help us do your marketing. It's more so finding that agency that is a good fit for you, that you're going to be able to work well with, and so forth.
You mentioned inbound marketing, and we're going to get to that in a bit, because that's an area of focus for DCD. But also because DCD includes in its name Complete Marketing Solutions, and you touched on the challenge of combining the different approaches so that they work together, sort of an integrated approach, an integrated strategy. I can't agree more. If I could get clients to look at what they're doing, the sum total of what they're doing, and, I say, if you're going to spend $10, let's figure out a way to spend it in a way where everything's pretty integrated, and maybe let's see if we can do it for $9. That's a bonus is a desire to be cost effective or achieving a certain cost effectiveness within that. But what do you do? How do you begin that dialogue with your clients about looking at the strategy of what they're saying and who they're saying it to?
Well, I'd say at the beginning, most clients approach us looking to get one particular problem solved. So our website hasn't been updated in 5 years. We really need to do a new design, and that's going to help us drive increase our revenue 25%. And we kind of have to work with them and help them understand, yes, your website needs to be redesigned and so forth, but that isn't necessarily going to mean that it's now going to bring in all of this business. So you still need to help people find your website.
Right, it's one piece of the puzzle.
Right, exactly. So, once they get to your website, how do you get their information? How are you going to turn them into a lead? Not everyone that comes to your website calls you up and says, I need to buy your product right now. Sometimes it takes a little bit of time to nurture them along. So having your website built to help, broaden that reach so that the visitors that do get there are then able to convert, and then you can use that with your sales team to move them through that buying process.
So one of the things that you do is help a client design a website that is set up to gather some information, to be somewhat interactive, to engage them, to get more information. I would assume is the initial hook is provide us with some information so that we can get you some additional information. But another area, a big area, is that you help design websites which I would characterize as a little more dynamic, because it may include some videos, and that's an area of expertise of the DCD, Complete Marketing Solutions Agency. And tell us a little bit about how you incorporate video, and we'll go down that path even more. But just off the top of your head, how is it that video production fits into a website? Because a lot of folks will create a website, and it's almost like an online brochure. It isn't particularly dynamic. The message isn't particularly dynamic. But you've managed to incorporate video. Do you do that for most of your clients, or just some of the clients? How is it that you integrate video into a website?
Well, I'd say that there's three main areas that we like to focus on right now, and that would be inbound marketing, video production, and video marketing. And before, these were three independent pieces, but really now they really integrate together. So I'd say across the board, our clients use a different element of each of these different pieces. Depending on their industry, it's not like there's one set plan that works for everyone. There's nothing cookie cutter that we really develop. And I would recommend for any company or business out there that there is not a cookie cutter strategy to make this work. So every business is unique. When a visitor first comes to your website, the typical opinion out there is that you have only a couple seconds for them to view exactly what's on the top part of the page. And what we've found through different research and talking with other groups is that that's really not the case. The first thing people do is they come to the website, they scroll all the way down to the bottom, and then they scroll all the way back up to the top, looking for bullet points or pieces of information that appeals to them or attracts their eye. And if they don't find what they're looking for, then they click away and go somewhere else. When you incorporate video into that mix, there's an 85% chance that they're going to click and watch that video. So rather than them looking through your homepage and trying to find what's really important, you can have in that video, it doesn't have to be very long, it could be only 30 seconds, but be able to present that key information that you need to make sure that each one of your prospects or leads understands or knows about you, and you're almost guaranteed that they're going to watch that 30-second video. And then from there, you can present them with additional information and resources.
So is that sort of a target length for videos, 30 seconds, and then do you help your clients if they want a more in-depth piece, like a 3-minute piece? Do you help them with the full range of video production? Definitely.
I'd say it really depends on where that person is in the buying cycle. So if you're creating a video that you just need as many people as you can to see, and for you to introduce your company, almost like a website introductory video, then you want to keep that short. Whereas as they move further through the buying process, they might need to know more information if you're a software company about the software that you use. So you might have a tutorial about that particular program, and it could range from 3 minutes to 10 minutes, and so forth. So it's not like there's one particular sweet spot of video length. It really depends on where they are in the buying cycle and what kind of business you have.
Right. There's no cookie-cutter approach to the length of the video as well. And if you're talking about a product or a combination of products, depending on what it takes to tell the story about the one or more products, you'll produce a video to describe the product or the services.
Exactly.
Let's talk about, let's actually jump into inbound marketing versus outbound marketing. And those of us in the field, and actually not everyone, is thoroughly familiar with how to help their clients achieve good inbound marketing strategies. But let's just talk about what inbound marketing is versus outbound marketing, which more people are familiar with. And then let's talk a little bit about the advantages of inbound versus outbound marketing.
Well, I'd say outbound marketing is another way of calling our traditional marketing. So it's cold calling, billboards, print advertising, even television commercials, all of these different mediums out there. There's 200 million plus on the do not call list. Okay, so you're really limited in that respect. 41% of people that receive direct mail throw it away. They don't even read it. Okay, and everyone I think now has TiVo of some sort. So unless it's the Super Bowl, you're fast forwarding through commercials. So that type of advertising and trying to reach your market is a lot more difficult, and it's also rather expensive. Versus you have an inbound strategy, which is all about presenting your company in the right spot where people are looking for your product or service. So rather than bombarding them with some messaging that might not be relevant to them at that period of time, you present yourself online in a way that people can find your website, and you are able to answer questions or provide a solution to their problem, and where they're actually seeking you out rather than you banging on their door, hey, you need to buy my product.
Right. In fact, the highest credibility is derived from someone who's seeking you out rather than you adding to the clutter. And in a sense, because of the clutter in the marketplace, it's almost like people were becoming pestered with and overstimulated and bombarded by a lot of different messages. We're going to be taking a break here in a bit, but when we come back, let's talk about how you helped, maybe give an example or two of how you helped a client. First of all, change their mentality about inbound versus outbound marketing, and then maybe some specific examples of things you did and how it worked for them. We're here with David Caron, the founder of DCD Complete Marketing Solutions, and we'll be back with David right after this break.
This is Michael Gano with Insight to Israel. Every day, the Israeli Defense Force finds itself on the front line of the war with the militant arm of Islam. Surrounded by enemies from within and without, they fight for the only Jewish state. Military service is mandatory, ladies serving 2 years and men serving 3 right out of high school. While young people in other democracies are busy traveling or attending university, Israeli men and women gear up for basic training. In a world of heads of state, politicians, ambassadors, diplomats, and a leftist media, many times our voice at the grassroots level is drowned out. So we started an ongoing project called Hershey's for Heroes. Patriot conservatives from all over the U.S. are sending Hershey's chocolate bars with a note of thanks for defending Israel. Won't you join us by sending a sweet message to the IDF? For information, please see my Facebook page at Michael Gano. Thank you, God bless Patriot conservatives, and God bless Israel in her struggle for sovereignty and security.
Did you miss a show that you really wanted to hear? All of our programs are available for download on americaswebradio.com and on iTunes. You can listen to your favorite programs on americaswebradio.com anytime you like.
Healthcare Consumerism Radio. Learn, connect, share. Join us every Friday at 11 o'clock to learn all those confusing issues around healthcare, Obamacare, Medicare, Medicaid. We'll help you find the answers, help you stay in compliance. Join us Friday at 11 o'clock.
Do your children know where their food comes from? At ConnectingFarmToFork.com, there's all kinds of ways to help your child understand how 300 million of us here in America stay nourished, clothed, and healthy. Activities, food facts, and farm visits help young people learn about America's hardworking farmers and have lots of fun doing it. Visit ConnectingFarmToFork.com today for a learning experience that'll really grow on you. ConnectingFarmToFork.com. Brought to you by the people who care at Feedstuffs Food Link.
This is americaswebradio.com, the best in chat radio designed just for you.
Welcome back to the Business Hour. We're here with David Caron of DCD Complete Marketing Solutions, and we've been talking about what makes a complete marketing solution, undertaking the time to work with a client to understand what their strategy is for marketing, how it is they can reach the people that they need to reach, and then creating messages that are credible messages. And we're talking about inbound versus outbound marketing, and David was explaining that, outbound marketing, which is more traditionally what we see from billboards to print to television advertising, versus inbound marketing, where someone is searching for a service or a product and they come across your company, they click on, and then DCD Marketing Solutions has helped to create a website that's designed to engage the person undertaking the search. And one of those ways is by the video that DCD produces. And by far, most agencies, if they're producing websites, or let's just say most advertising agencies, they're engaged in conventional outbound marketing and advertising. And some of those production capabilities are in-house, but a lot of that is freelance. Very often, the website development is done out of house, and video production is almost always invariably something that they turn to outside of the agency itself. But the nice thing about DCD is that you actually can help build the website, and you can help with the early strategy for what the video is going to say, and then you help with the actual production. In fact, David, you get involved hands-on in that, so you're sort of a director and shooter, if I'm not mistaken, so that you're intimately hands-on involved. And we're going to go down that path as well. I just wanted to mention that before the break we talked about how you could offer an example or two of a client that had been engaged in very traditional outbound marketing and how you introduced them to inbound marketing and how that worked for them. And you don't have to give away any names. Let's not, unless you choose to, but you can just talk about the industry segment, a little bit about the product or service, and how you help them improve their inbound marketing.
Well, I'd say, there's a series of clients that we've been able to assist with their inbound marketing efforts and other projects and whatnot. One example would be a business that has traditionally put a lot of its eggs into one basket, and relying solely on outbound marketing efforts. And what this does for them is, each month they're investing however many thousands of dollars into their outbound efforts, and they're receiving phone calls and emails and all of that kind of thing. So they are generating business, but say 1 month they don't invest into that outbound marketing strategy, then their phone's not ringing. The emails aren't coming in, the visitors aren't coming in, and whatnot. So they really rely on investing a lot of money each month to generate new business. Whereas with inbound, the investment that you make, say in month one, with the content that you create, whether it's blog posts or ebook offers or video content, when month two comes along, none of that content goes away. It still resides there on your website. It's still working for you. So your investment from month one carries over into month two, and then it's almost a compounding effect where each month it's growing and growing and building upon itself. So rather than relying on, I need to continue to feed this monster, and if I want to grow, I need to keep feeding it even more. You can keep your marketing budget at a very consistent level with inbound and see your results increase time and time again as you continue to invest into that strategy.
One of the earliest crude examples of a combination inbound outbound that had serious limitations and was and still is very expensive are the Yellow Pages. People did go to the Yellow Pages oftentimes to search. It was like one of the initial processes where people were engaged in a search, but it's a very, very limited medium in terms of any messages. They were and still are charging significant amounts for what they call display ads. And so you could get across very little information, and someone might pick up the phone based upon a cluttered page of display ads, and you were charged monthly for something that didn't have a compounding effect, wasn't very dynamic, and the difference is that when the Yellow Pages today are your computer, you're going online
exactly
with a multitude of options and putting in, just the most cursory of search words and ending up with lots of possibilities. Then once you drill down a little bit, you're engaged in a way that something like the Yellow Pages never could and never will be able to provide. And it could be ever growing and expanding. As you say, not only is there a compounding effect if you make the initial investment and it pretty much stays the same for a few to many months, but you can update it. And if I'm not mistaken, that is one of the services that DCD offers to its clients, is the ability to constantly upgrade and update the website and the messages and the video that's on the website. Is that right?
Right. One of the first steps that we take with a client is building a content marketing strategy. And what this does is we work with a client and understand what kind of information are their ideal prospects and ideal clients looking for. And so we then work with them and build out different blog posts or video content or ebook content that is going to appeal to the people and businesses or consumers or whatnot that this business needs to have to survive, grow their customer base. So we engage them to understand their business, because they're experts in what they do and we're experts in what we do, and so together we can create a really sophisticated strategy. With that, we then develop the content, whether it's writing the actual blog post or the ebook, filming the videos, and any multitude of mediums out there, and publish that content online for people to be able to read and consume. So it could involve publishing a blog on your own website, or uploading a video to YouTube or any of the other video hosting websites and services out there, really to position that business where their client or their prospects are going to be looking. It's not limited to just their website. For sure, we all search on Google. Think of how many times we search on it every single day. But once we find a good blog that we enjoy reading, or a news resource that we enjoy, we don't have to necessarily search on Google for it. We go to that resource directly. Every week on Tuesday, we're going to read that new blog post by so-and-so that is always providing us some really awesome information. And so getting your content into the right places online is something that's really important. It's also what we help our clients do.
And do you help clients that want to have a blog that is maybe just a short story and doesn't include video, as well as a blog post that could include an elaborate video production if they so desire?
Absolutely. Depending on the type of budget they have, where they'd like to invest, and so forth, we can really work with a business to maybe phase in videos here and there. If it's strictly content, well, that's the first step. First thing you need to get out there is blog content. So if you blog between 15 and 20 times each month, you're going to get 5 times as many leads than businesses that don't blog. So it's something where you don't necessarily need an agency to do that for you. You need to start doing that yourself. And if you are busy running your business and you don't have time for that, then yes, you'd want to reach out to an agency and engage them in that sense. But this is something that you can do. It's extremely cost effective for you to start yourself and start generating leads that way.
What about bloggers out there, David? This is sort of almost an aside. Bloggers who aren't even blogging necessarily for business. They're just sharing perspectives almost in the way that a short story writer or a journalist, and they're ready to ramp up the look and the feel of their blog. Is there a market there for you? Have you found that there are folks out there? Because that number, the number of bloggers, it would be astounding.
Oh, absolutely. One really good example is, I call her my little sister. She's just younger than me. She's not that little anymore. But she started a blog maybe 4 years ago, I think. And it's called The Busy Budgeting Mama. And she puts up there all of her passions. So what it's like through motherhood. There's 10,000 pictures of my nieces and nephews, videos. I mean, everything out there. If I need my mom's recipes, they're on there as well. So I can, it's a great resource in that. But for her, it started as a way to let her voice be heard and just out there. And then now she's been able to start a couple other ventures. She's published a book. All of this kind of spawning from this humble blog, and she has 10,000 Facebook fans now.
We're going to be taking a break. When we come back, I know that a lot of families have like one or two members of the family that are the bloggers, and sort of keep other members informed. But it just occurred to me that family blogs could and probably are more sophisticated than ever, and that's almost a market niche that you could tap into. So maybe we can touch on that. We're here with David Caron of DCD Complete Marketing Solutions, and we'll talk more with David right after this break.
Cook Immigration Partners is your passport through the immigration maze. Whether it's help with E-Verify in your business, or help in how to document a new employee under the new I-9 rules, or if you marry a foreign national, Cook Immigration Partners is your best choice for a legal advocate. Call us today at 866-286-6200. That's 866-286-6200, or visit us on the web at www.immigration.net.
With all the back and forth in today's politics, it seems as though the Constitution gets lost in the mix. If you want to brush up on your Constitution, then join Michael Conley every Wednesday from 4 to 5 p.m. for the show Our Constitution on americaswebradio.com.
Solution providers, are you aware of the Institute for Healthcare Consumerism's multiple marketing platforms? You're invited to get a little closer to IHC with our Solution Provider Membership Marketing Program. Through IHC's exclusive Solution Provider membership, your business gets an all-access pass to engaging your prospects. This membership embeds your business within the Institute, which immediately aligns your company, its solutions, and your key executives with the nationally credible IHC brand, and shows your support of the healthcare consumerism movement as a market-wide solution. And that's just the beginning. Contact IHC's Managing Director, Brent Macy, today at bmacy@theihcc.com.
You're listening to americaswebradio.com, the pioneer and leader in chat radio. Thank you for listening.
Welcome back to the Business Hour. I'm Ron Comacho, your host. And we've been talking with David Caron of DCD Complete Marketing Solutions about marketing challenges and about what DCD does to help its clients essentially launch themselves into the 21st century of inbound marketing so that they're not leaving their marketing strategy and their budget to traditional outbound marketing that isn't nearly as effective, particularly when combined with inbound marketing. And that's one thing I wanted to talk about. We'll get to it in a second. The question is, are there people out there that you find see the value for balancing between some traditional outbound marketing and a growing amount of inbound marketing? But just before the break, just to kind of follow up, I'm wondering, there are probably listeners out there right now that are bloggers and who have grown in the sophistication of producing their own blog, maybe gone from just writing to some elements of design, possibly a website that includes some video. And I'm wondering, rather than your little sister, if you will, who you might know that is at a point where they're ready to evolve into a more sophisticated professional blog, and whether or not that isn't a significant market, simply because of the hundreds of thousands of people now around the world, but particularly here in the U.S., that are doing exactly that. I mean, that is the nature of the Internet, is that people are able to become entrepreneurial and start with just a simple, humble little blog and realize, wow, I can use this to sell a product or a service rather than just share my thoughts about, the family or the condition of the world. I don't know even how you might exactly how you would tap into that. And I guess you just made people aware of, if you're ready to take your blog to a new level,
Yeah, I would say there's a lot of great tools out there that can help anyone that wants to get their message out there. There's WordPress.com, where you really don't need to know any type of website coding or anything like that. That can help you build a blog in a matter of minutes. So there's, getting started out there and getting your message is a great way to start there.
Let's turn back now to the more professional end of the spectrum, where you have big companies realizing that inbound marketing is something that's been missing from their marketing mix. Have you found that a lot of companies see the value of combining? They're not going to stop some of their television advertising, for example, and some of their print advertising, but that they ultimately see the value of the two working together. In fact, to me, I have explained to many clients many times that one of the most important things about a print ad and a television ad is to drive them to the website, where they might encounter a much more information, engaging headlines, subheads, stories, and the videos that you produce. So are you finding that you have clients that now have a mix between the two?
Yes. We definitely don't recommend stopping marketing that's working. If it's driving your business clients, then don't stop.
If it ain't broke, don't fix that.
Exactly,
aspect. Yeah.
exactly. So incorporating inbound into your existing outbound strategy can be extremely cost effective. It typically is about 63% less expensive to implement inbound marketing than outbound marketing. And where we find our clients, depending on their industry, as there's not a cookie cutter type of approach, but businesses that integrate both outbound and inbound together can really have the most dominating of marketing strategies out there. The great benefits of inbound marketing are the analytics and understanding immediately the return on your investment and what pieces of that marketing is working and what isn't working. Whereas it's a little bit more difficult to track a outbound marketing effort unless you have a distinct website URL that people are going to or a distinct phone number. It's a little bit more difficult to track.
That's a really good point. Analytics are playing a more major role in understanding the effectiveness of a marketing effort. And metrics, metrics have always been a part of that, but analytics, if you will, is taking that a step further to literally analyzing, how you can spend that money better to achieve a desired effect. And I'm wondering, in general, it's the digital domain that has allowed us to be more inbound marketing oriented and for those analytics to play a part. In just the last 10 years, much less the last 20 years, the digital domain has revolutionized marketing. What are your thoughts? When someone says, David, how has digital marketing changed the way we market, of which websites are a part, blogs are a part, and the video production that you do, the e-videos. How do you answer that question about the whole digital domain and where it's come from, and maybe let's touch on where you think it's going.
Well, I'd say the entire digital marketing realm really allows us to be very nimble and react extremely fast. Where if you wanted to put up a billboard, it's going to take some time and printing it and then getting it out there and so forth. Whereas with online media, it could be up in a matter of hours, or you can adjust the content on your website in a matter of minutes. So being able to react to a market and understand what people are looking for and being able to provide them that solution, internet marketing has just revolutionized everything. We're very fast-paced. We sit down in front of our computers often enough, but think of how many times we look at our phone to check our email and search the web for information. I need this information now, and I'm either going to go to my phone to find it as quickly as possible, or otherwise I'm going to use some other method. So we, as marketers, we need to make sure that we're providing content and a marketing strategy that is focused on what is important to the customer or the client or the patient. versus what's important to the business. Because now, more than ever, the consumer or the client is driving what's important. They're the ones that are saying, I need this. You can either give it to me or I'm going to find it from some other source.
Well, you mentioned nimble, and without a doubt, that would be one of the ways that I would characterize what has come from the whole digital realm of marketing. If anyone's out there that is involved in the marketing for a company that has used traditional outbound marketing, you're very aware of the advanced time for placing an ad, producing an ad, writing, directing, producing a video spot, the media buy associated with that. That is the biggest difference, I think, between modern digital communications, which can move almost at the speed of light. It's not like you can promise a client that you'll have a whole new website, a blog, a video produced overnight. But quite honestly, it could be.
Yes.
It's a matter of resources, and the same video that's produced to go online will be up and running and can be in 24 hours if it absolutely needed to, at rush charges, I might add, or at least charges for mental anguish. But if it were going to be put on, if it was a broadcast piece, I mean, it's not going to be up and running for at least days and maybe weeks. So speed and nimbleness, and that is one thing about DCD. You are a nimble group. I mean, you and I were talking off the air, and that was one of the things that you said that you felt like was one of your strengths is the ability to be nimble and responsive. Let's talk about your personal role, David. You are the founder and in the promo for the program, today's program, I referred to you as the founder and the creative force behind DCD, Complete Marketing Solutions, and you, like a lot of entrepreneurs, wear a lot of different hats. But tell us about that role. I mean, tell us about the multifaceted role, and let's talk about how DCD got started. I know there are a lot of listeners out there that have told me that they're fascinated, and we're going to talk about you, but they're fascinated along with the path that my guests have taken to get to where they are, with the evolution of the company, the earliest stages, those embryological stages of the company. So tell us a little bit about, and they probably are interwoven, your path, your professional path, and the evolution of DCD. But tell us how DCD came about.
Well, I'd say, fortunately for me, I was homeschooled from middle school through high school. And it gave me the opportunity to be able to travel with my dad on his different business trips. And sometimes sit in on different business meetings and whatnot and just kind of be a fly on the wall in these different scenarios. And it gave me a little understanding of the business world at a very young age. Then from there, I became...
Let me stop you there for just a moment. I apologize, David. I lost track of time here. We're going to need to take a break. When we come back, we're going to pick up on this story because I think a lot of people are going to want to hear this. We're here with David Caron. We'll be back with David Caron right after this break.
Watchdog is a term given an organization like the United States Justice Foundation, which since 1979 has been watching out and, when necessary, taking the appropriate action, from testifying to litigating to protect our constitutional rights. USJF, a nonprofit organization, is nationally recognized not only as a watchdog, but many in the government, as well as those involved in legal cases, have also called the USJF a bulldog for the tenacious approach in their presentation and proof of what is right. Find out more at www.usjf.net. Support USJF as they support you.
Hi, this is Kate Copsey, inviting you to listen year-round to America's Homegrown Veggie Show every Saturday at 10 a.m.
This is Dr. Susan Blank, Medical Director for the Atlanta Healing Center. Our team is able to offer a multitude of treatment options such as quantitative EEG, also known as brain mapping, hormonal and nutritional assessments, neuropsychological testing, and cognitive therapy, along with traditional 12-step facilitation. And we can even offer you, if appropriate, a gentle medically managed detox. Please contact us at 770-696-9862.
You're listening to America'sWebRadio.com, the pioneer and leader in chat radio. Thank you for listening.
Welcome back to the Business Hour, and my apologies. I should have cued David to let him know that we were about to take a break, because I really want to hear this story about your earliest exposure to seeing your dad in a business context, because it sounds like to me that was where the seeds were planted about the potential to be a business person. A lot of people never have that kind of firsthand exposure, and a lot of children can oftentimes follow the path of their parents, whether they were a musician, a firefighter, a teacher. In this case, your dad was in the textiles industry, and pick it up where you left off just before the break.
Right. So being homeschooled afforded me the opportunity to travel a little bit more than, say, if I had to be in school every single day. So I was able to travel with my dad and sit in on different meetings, and he worked in the sales and marketing side, and he had agencies as his assistants and whatnot. And I still remember one story where we're in a meeting and they were talking about needing a new logo, and I remember, being on my notebook or whatever and sketching kind of a little logo, and here, Dad, what about this? And they kind of laughed a little bit, him and the marketing director and whatnot, and I was like, okay, all right, and they said, oh, you're going to be in some marketing company one day, and I didn't really tie that all back together until, maybe a little while ago, but from there, I'd say in my family, have a very full entrepreneurial spirit. My older sister started a company. My little sister has the blog. My dad has started a company. So my grandfather started a company. There's a lot of different entrepreneurs in my family, and really that drive from my parents that there are no limits. We're all normal people out there. Even the CEO and all of that of some Fortune 500 company, at the end of the day, comes home and spends time with his family. He's a normal person. So you can really get out there and make it for yourself. So I started a video editing company when I was 17 years old, and dabbled in that for a little bit. Wasn't quite ready for business, I think, at that point. And I ended up volunteering for about 5.5 years. What that allowed me to do is I was able to live in Dublin, Ireland for a year, in Italy for a year, and also in Bosnia for a year. And that time and experience in Bosnia, at least, we had 26 different nationalities all living under one roof. So it made communication rather interesting. Some really exciting stories that we could go on another time.
Yeah, we'll have to have you come back on the show, and we'll drill down even further into those 3 countries. But please continue on and tell us a little bit about what you did in Ireland, what you did in Italy, and definitely what you did in Bosnia.
And so in Ireland, I worked with a volunteer program that put on a retreat for different school students. And part of that involved a type of video production aspect where the kids would participate and film each other doing different readings and different Bible stories and whatnot. So kind of involving in the video side with that. I then spent 4.5 years working with drug addicts and alcoholics, something that didn't really expect to pursue and work in that.
Was this abroad as well?
This was abroad.
Okay.
So I spent two years in Florida working with the program, and then a year in Italy and a year in Bosnia. And I really believe that it helped for me to understand there's a lot of different ways to communicate with people. And there's a lot of different ways to think about the exact same thing. So being able to then take that and apply it into the different marketing strategies that we use with our clients now, I think is a big advantage versus someone that maybe has the book smarts. You know, we're highly educated in marketing in school and whatnot.
Well, it's almost as if you had a gigantic independent study that integrated the social sciences with media, in a sense, and that you had the hands-on experience of working out in the field, but you didn't necessarily have the benefit. And a lot of people have grown up without the benefit of an educator or a counselor saying, you know, David, if you take your video production skills and it seems like you've acquired some website building skills, you might be able to integrate those into a business. But you did. And tell us how. Let's get to the website end of it, because I'll just ask you straight away here: are you one of those guys that reads manuals? That rare group of guys that actually learns how to do programming, you know, like works with Joomla or Dreamweaver and gets it from a manual?
I'd say, you know, the manual that I learned from was Google. So there's, you know, that's the most updated manual out there, and really it's more so about learning from your peers. So the resources out there for people to learn and teach themselves are available on the internet.
Well, it's almost one and the same, though. If you were willing to seek out that information online and absorb it, to me, it's always been a different mindset, a different mentality. If you can keep up with the programming aspect of what goes on with websites or video production these days, you're in a different league. It's as if you speak a different language, and in some cases, literally, it could be a different language. It could be something like Joomla, but
absolutely, you know, I think that having a knowledge of web development, understanding how video works with marketing, and how all of these different pieces work together, really is really probably the greatest advantage that we have as a company compared to other agencies. Knowing what's involved with getting a video online is extremely beneficial compared to maybe a production company that just produces the video, and they don't really understand how to then help you benefit from it online and whatnot.
You know, there are people who are familiar, I mean, many of us, maybe even most of us, familiar with the fact that you've got Steve Jobs and Bill Gates who dropped out of school to start companies, and in a sense, their companies were their independent studies, but who didn't need the structured environment of a college or university. And in many cases, people that didn't need the structure of even a high school, or the structure came from homeschooling. I suspect that we're going to see a new generation of really bright entrepreneurial folks who are undertaking what I call independent studies, where they're following a combination of their heart and their head, which it sounds like to me you did. you're very lucky in that what you do is more than just an interest and more than just a professional application of your skill set. It's a passion.
Absolutely.
Is that true? Yes.
It's lucky when you get to work every day with things that you love, what you really enjoy doing. I've definitely put in my time and worked in areas that maybe aren't as much fun or not as enjoyable, but now that we are where we're at, being able to work every day and be passionate about what we do, and I love filming. I love having everything all work together and seeing that strategy come to fruition. It's really an exciting thing.
As a guy who shares some of your passion and some of the same skill set and some of the same professional pursuits, I definitely think that the shooting and the production of a video is more fun than budgeting, for example.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Filming is way more fun than budgeting. Paperwork, yes, we got to get it done, but nothing like getting out there and filming.
Yeah, and I'd say that you're very fortunate in that you get to cross over from the business aspect to the creative production aspect. I'm wondering if, given all of what we just said about being able to follow your heart and your head and cultivate it into a profession, is there any advice that you would have for a young person out there, whether they're in junior high or high school, and really the seeds are just beginning to be planted, or someone who's in college and thinking about a career in marketing communications?
I'd say the first thing that you want to go out there and do is get experience. Experience is what is going to get you where you want to be. If you're wanting to work for another agency, a great resume is excellent. Having all the education and college degree and all that kind of stuff is great, but you can't teach experience.
The credentials are cool, but there is nothing like experience, and it sounds like you've had some really, really cool experience, and we might have to have you back to drill down into some of those experiences. David, I want to thank you for taking the time to come on the Business Hour.
Absolutely. It's been a great time.
We've been talking with David Caron, the founder of DCD Complete Marketing Solutions. You've been listening to the Business Hour here on America's Web Radio, Fridays from 10 to 11. Have a great weekend.